Reverend LaDana Clark.
This is Reverend Clark. You're in the hot seat on Media Monday.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Ron, and you're in the hot seat on this Media Monday. We want to welcome everyone who is streaming today at twitch.com/Ron Clarkenstein, as well as 955theheat.com. We're also streaming today with Facebook Live, so if you're joining us on Facebook Live, if you're streaming or listening to us on the radio, either way, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the show. It's going to be a really great show, Black History Month. So, June is Black History Month. It's also known as African American Music Appreciation Month. It's a time to celebrate the profound impact of Black musicians and their contributions to American music and culture. Here today to celebrate is our own DJ, Jay-Easy. He's Jonathan Brooks. He's our sound engineer. And our black musician, Reverend LaDana Clark. She's also known as LADYJAM. So let's begin with you. Reverend Clark, LADYJAM, we're going to start by taking a listen to some of your work. This song is called Hateration. We're going to have that coming up soon. Your work is on Spotify, so let me get that queued up. We're going to play that. Now, our other guest today, I guess she couldn't make it today, but I'm so glad that you're here. So before we play your song, why don't we talk about this song?
Great.
What is Hateration?
Hateration is a culmination, if you will.
I'm not sure if you're mic'd. I think that microphone there, you want to take that, you're going to put that like right in front of your mouth.
Right here.
There we
Is that
go.
good?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mike is your friend.
Okay.
The mic is your friend.
All right. So Hateration, the song Hateration is like a culmination of many different forms of hate. Okay. So I just put it all together in one word, Hateration. All right. And as a minister as well, it's about basically the spirit of hate and where it rears its ugly head, you know,
Yeah.
and where it needs to be dealt with and how it needs to be dealt with and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
How does your ministry inform your work as a musician and as a writer?
Well, that's through my music ministry, you know, with the songs that I release, and as the audience will find out today that I have several songs that I've released. And I've been doing music a long time. Matter of fact, on the song right here, on Hateration, I'm actually playing the guitar.
Oh yeah?
I'm actually playing the guitar, as well as doing, you know, all the voices except the intro voice, which says this is a public service announcement, which was done by a very good friend out of Atlanta, Georgia. Her name is Michelle Cox, who I thank so much with that wonderful radio voice she has. And but I believe that most human conflicts, and I think most of us would agree, begin with some form of hate.
Yeah.
You know, it's the root cause, whether it's bullying, whether it's, you know, homophobia, whether it's, you know, racial stuff in reference to black, you know, or Latino, or it all begins
There's a
with
commonality. It's like either you're a hater or you're not, and if you are, oftentimes you hate more than one group.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I just, in my lifetime, I'm over a half a century young.
How do you get people, well, me too, over half a century and 6 years young.
Right, so I've seen a lot of stuff and experienced a lot of stuff, you know? So.
How do you get people to understand that the problem isn't like, the problem is hate itself. And like, it's not okay to hate this one group or to say, I'm a good person, that I like everybody except for these guys. Like, how do you get people to understand that the problem is this universal, that we accept too much hate in society?
Well, I've also went to college for radio broadcasting, so I'm very familiar with how the media, the role the media plays, whether it's radio, whether it's music, whether it's videos, whether it's video games, whether it's commercials. Because when I was in radio, my job was to make you want it.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, my job was to make you want it. So,
right.
So grown people know what they're doing. All right,
Yeah.
when they put these hateful messages out there, you know, that encourage young people to do, you know, to do things that they shouldn't do, or whether it's about one group or another group. So the bottom line is trying to fix that. We got to have some community conversations that may be hard,
Right.
but we got to have them.
Yes,
And we got to
actually
reach
do.
out to each other.
Yes.
And we got to go to each other's spaces. I've since I've been here in Central New York, I've been going to a lot of quote unquote white spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where when I say white spaces, I mean predominantly Caucasians, right?
Yep.
But I don't see enough Caucasians coming to black spaces, and I think that would help.
What do you see when you go to a white space as a person who's black? What do you experience?
Well, I can only go by what I have experienced in Central New York at the First Presbyterian Church in Cooperstown, because that's where I am affiliate member and an affiliate minister.
This for you.
Okay?
Yeah.
They have been wonderful.
Yeah.
Very supportive for going on 9 years now. And but when I came in the door and we met each other, they knew I wasn't coming for them to convert me. Okay?
How did they know that?
By the way I carry myself, trust me. Bullies beware. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't play like that. I come as me. I'm coming to be a part of the experience. I'm coming to learn.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the communication between us. We came together to learn from each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing. People have to be open to learn from each other.
Right,
If one group
right.
of people thinks that, black people can't tell them nothing, then that's your first problem.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then, so on and so on.
I want to talk more about that. Like, what white people can gain from going to black spaces and from learning from other cultures. I think we're maybe ready to play the song if it's queued up. All right, so this is Hateration and by LADYJAM. This is on Spotify. We'll have links to all the stuff on our show notes. But let's give that a listen.
The following message is a public service announcement.
I was blind, but now I see. You want to take the country back? I got something for that. Hateration destroys nations. Hateration creates distractions and evil temptations. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration like a disease, full-blown pandemic. Yo, we need a vaccine. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration is gonna kill us all. If we keep it up, it's gonna be our human downfall. Hateration is gonna kill us all. To all nations, don't you let it be your downfall. Hateration, white racism, black genocide in America and African nations. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration don't help nobody. Hateration don't help nobody. I need some spiritual prayer words that about it. I need some spiritual prayer words, ain't no doubt about it. I need them now. I need them right now. Prayers up, it's time to shut the devil down. Prayers up, what we gonna do? Come on, prayer words, yo, I'm talking to you. Help us save our nation. Help us save our nation. Help us save our nation from this haterization. God have mercy.
This public service announcement was brought to you by Church in the Hood, the Faith and Hip Hop for Life movement, baby.
So let me ask you, how can music and media and ministry, how can that save this country from being a hateration?
Well, I can only say, with it being Black Music Month,
How has black music been? Black music has traditionally been something that's been very, very sustaining and inspiring for civil rights movements.
absolutely. No matter, I remember as a kid, I'm a 60s baby, so as a kid, I remember Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King being assassinated, but I remember in between that, all of the songs. Marvin Gaye said, "What's going on?" Diana Ross and the Supremes said, "Reach out and touch somebody's hand," right?
Yep.
So it was it was message music. They did love songs. They did songs that made us dance that many will remember forever. But they also took the time, to talk about what was going on. James Brown boldly said, "Say it loud.
Yeah.
I'm black and I'm proud." Okay?
Yeah.
So I think that's how the music connects, And then as the ministry, in the black church, we didn't have the luxury of not talking about politics or not talking about civic action or not.
Minorities rarely do have the luxury of tuning that stuff out.
So it was intertwined in the gospel. I would even go back so far as my enslaved ancestors, after the white preacher would come through, then they'd have church.
Then they have
they have their own
programming,
church. Right.
The truth, yeah.
Right. So they did the same thing.
Now, you had a successful career in radio.
Yes, I did.
Before the ministry. So in the music. Now, was the ministry always a part of your life, or is that something that like you kind of eased into while you're working in media?
That was after
Okay.
I got started in radio. I was at WWZ in Z93 in Charleston, South Carolina at the time, where I was able
Big
to...
market.
Yeah, it was pretty big. And when hip-hop kicked off back in the 80s, we were right there to receive them at the arena. I mean, I brought on stage Run DMC, Salt and Pepper, Heavy D and the Boys, the Fat Boys. Oh my God, I also broke Will Smith's first hit record on the radio. Him and DJ Jazzy
Jeff.
It was called "Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble."
Oh wow!
It was a 12-inch record with a white label and their names in Black Magic Marker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was quite a time. But shortly after that, I was at a club. I had 200 people waiting for me to perform. And
as a DJ.
As a DJ, as
a.
I mean, I was the first cutting.
You're a popular DJ. You're a big DJ.
I was.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I was also one of the first cutting, scratching female DJs in
Oh,
South Carolina.
wow.
Hit it,
Good
hit
for
it,
you.
hit it.
Hey,
okay, I used to do
cool.
all of that. So at the club.
So you would have had a big following.
Yeah,
of
200
course.
people was waiting for me.
Yeah.
At the club this night, and I was in my dressing room, and I had an experience like in the Bible, Paul on the road to Damascus, or Moses in the burning bush. The Lord showed up in my dressing room and hooked me up with the Holy Hookup.
So what happened?
I mean, basically, I was high as hell.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the truth.
Yep.
Tell the truth and shame the devil.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And God, the Spirit of the Lord, cut through all of that just to show you how gangster God is. Okay.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, I heard the Lord. I heard His voice call my name.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, I'm high as hell. I'm hearing voices.
Right.
So that then a second time, the Lord called my name. I'm sitting on the couch. I said, no, I'm checking. I'm checking closets.
Name.
Yeah, I'm checking closets now. I'm looking up under the seat. I got my beady jacket on. That's how long ago it was. Waiting to perform.
Yeah.
And then I said, you know what? I'm gonna sit down. And if this voice speak to me one more time, I'm gonna do what it say do. Almost like daring God to do something. Oh, you don't call my name, do something. And so the voice called my name the third time, just like Samuel in the Bible, and said, no show tonight. Go home. You'll be back, but not as you were. And I believe that God saved my life that night because I was a celebrity. And they would have given me more candy that night. More drugs, right.
Yeah.
And I would probably have OD'd.
Wow.
And I know that's not what,
So that saved your life.
Saved my
going
life.
Home and getting out of the situation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how did that change the course of your life?
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah.
Let me just share this. Prior to that experience happening, I had gone to New York to see my mother. And my God. I was there, and I was at the Roxy, performing at the Roxy in Manhattan. Rap group Houdini, one of them saw me. The one with the cowboy hat saw me because I did a rendition of Friends, and I did a bass guitar solo on the end, and he was really impressed. And he sent me. He said, "I want you to meet Andre Harrell." And so I was right there with the Force MDs. Andre Harrell, DJ. He was with a group called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And after all that was over, I met with him, and I met with the manager of the Force MDs. But anyway, I wanted to say this because it is also LGBTQ month, and I believe my sexual orientation in this moment saved my life because I was offered an indecent proposal in the music industry. I was supposed to be the next female rapper after Queen Latifah and before Moni Love, because they took me to Tommy Boy Records. I met Monica Lynch. And they told my mother she's gonna be the next rapper, blah blah blah. And then somebody, I'm not gonna say who he was a part of at this point, but I'm gonna say this. This person decided to get me allow me to get as high as I could get by buying the drugs and stuff.
To exploit you.
To exploit, right. But when he came at me, I looked at him like crazy. Yeah. And I said, I could have saved you from lying to my mother. I could have saved you wasting Monica Lynch's time. I could have saved you from, the money you paid for the drugs, because I'm gay and you ain't getting nothing no way. and I think if I was about that date, I'm just gonna say it like that. Yeah. I could have been caught up in this P. Diddy thing.
If he was,
because I was 21. I was 21.
Well, it's very tempting. When someone offers you all that.
And Andre Harrell he just became president of Uptown Records. So that's how the connection I'm talking about.
Right.
Andre Harrell had just became president of Uptown Records. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, we're going to hear more about that. We're going to talk more about your life and hear more of your music in the show. My guests today are DJ Jay Easy and Reverend LaDana Clark. We're celebrating Black Music Month here on Hot Seat Media Monday. We'll have the show available on YouTube and podcast on Wednesday at uticaphoenix.net/Media Monday. We're live streaming now at 955theheat.com and twitch.com/Ron Klopfenstein. Also, I believe on my Facebook page. I'm Ron Klopfenstein. You're in the Hot Seat on a Media Monday. We'll have more after the break.
At first sword.
Hey, man on the street.
Oh,
great.
This is Ron Klopfenstein, and you're in the Hot Seat on a Media Monday. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Hot Seat on this Media Monday. I'm Ron Klopfenstein. We're celebrating Black Music Month today with DJ Jay Easy and Reverend LaDana Clark. And we're live streaming tonight's show at twitch.com/Ron Klopfenstein. Hi everybody out there on Twitch, as well as 955theheat.com and also on Facebook Live. So if you're streaming, we're glad that you're here for the stream. This Saturday, Whitney's Legacy held their first annual Whitney's Music Fest in Rome. The event raised money by celebrating Whitney's life with music, art, and community. Photojournalist Jim Hale and I were there. Here's our report. I'm Ron Klopfenstein in Rome, where Whitney's Legacy is holding their first ever music festival fundraiser. I'm with Kelly and Amy, who are co-chairs of this event. Kelly, what is happening here today?
Well, today we're holding our first annual music fest for Whitney's Legacy. Whitney's Legacy is a foundation that was started by Whitney's mother, Sue Francisco, after we tragically lost Whitney to an ectopic pregnancy. So our foundation focuses a lot on a pretty large, broad scope of any kind of issues that Whitney would have found important. She was very much, a social justice warrior, a very impassioned woman. So we're just trying to continue the work that she started.
So what is happening here today at the Rome Art and Community Center?
Today we have a bunch of bands playing, we have some raffles and 50-50s, all to kind of raise money so we can donate to more charities. And so a day about community coming together and especially learning more about ectopic pregnancy and trying to prevent.
I'm with Sue Francisco, who is Whitney's mom. You founded this organization to keep her legacy alive. How are you doing that through music?
Well, this kind of happened by happenstance, and it was one band, and then we decided to just promote it, and we ended up with 4. This is the first annual, we were trying to keep it on the smaller side because we had to get our feet wet. None of us have done this before.
Yeah.
So next year, watch out.
How's it going?
Next year, we're going to do Woodstock.
Oh, wow. So, what would Whitney think about this?
Whitney would be amazed. She would be amazed at the support she's got here.
Yeah.
So yeah, she'd be proud. She'd
Great.
be happy.
Do you know Whitney when she was alive? Or were you friends
Yes.
with her?
Yeah.
What was she like?
She was just a very light person. She, made everybody smile. Was very, again, impassioned about the causes that she thought were important.
Yeah.
And so we're really working hard to kind of keep her memory alive that way.
Was music important to her? And
Oh,
art?
yeah, absolutely. She loved going to concerts, and we used to work together like way back in the day. And then I found out my husband was like best friends with her growing up. So it was like a small world, but like she's always been part of our lives, and we really miss her. So I'm gonna start crying.
Organizers were encouraged by the success of this event to plan more in years to come. In Rome, I'm Ron Klopfenstein for 95.5 FM, The Heat. I'll have a link to the YouTube video version of this report in the show notes for this episode that'll be up Wednesday at uticaphoenix.net/Media Monday. Today we're celebrating Black Music Month with DJ J-Eazy and Reverend LaDana Clark. This is, so we're going to hear one of Reverend Clark's songs. This is BLCM for Life by Reverend Clark, aka LADYJAM.
BLCM for life, baby.
I'm the lesbian Christian, I'm the lesbian Christian, I'm the lesbian Christian, and God put me on a mission. I'm the black lesbian Christian, and God put me on a mission. I'm the black lesbian Christian, and God put me in the mix. Jesus put me in the mix, Jesus put me in the mix, Jesus put me in the mix, Jesus put me in the mix. I'm the black lesbian Christian, and I'm about to break it down. Tell the world how Jesus saved and turned my whole life around, yo. For so many years, I cried a million tears, but now I'm about to make $1 million off this record that's in your ear. Cause for so many years they tried to spiritually castrate me, but life is silly. Whoopi Goldberg in the Color Purple movie. I might be black and yo, I might even be ugly, but one thing is for sure, I'm here and God and Jesus love me. I'm the lesbian Christian, I'm the lesbian Christian, I'm the black lesbian Christian, and God put me on a mission. I came to tell the truth and set the record straight. God can use anybody, anywhere, gay or straight. I said I came to tell the truth and set the record straight. God can use anybody, black, white, gay or straight. I'm the lesbian Christian, I'm the lesbian Christian, I'm the black lesbian Christian, and God put me on a mission. I'm the lesbian Christian, I'm the lesbian Christian, I'm the black lesbian Christian, and God put me on a mission. Jesus put me in the mix to show you how to fix whenever, wherever, whatever your problem is. Jesus on the main line, you should call him up. You don't even need a cell phone. Prayers going up, prayers going up, prayers going up, prayers going up, prayers going up. Let me tell you why I break it down so the black see the lost can be found. Let me tell you why I break it down so the black see the lost can be found. Everybody has an expiration date, expiration date. Everybody has an expiration date. What will it say when you pass away? See, the race is not given to the swift or the strong. The race is given to the one that can endure and hold on. See, the race is not given to the swift or the strong. The race is given to the one that can resist and hold on. I'm a lesbian Christian, she'll tell the truth. It's alright. I'm a lesbian Christian, I've got your back. I'm the lesbian Christian, you'll tell the truth, show you right. I'm the lesbian Christian, you'll tell the truth and let it ride, let it ride, let it ride, let it ride, let it ride.
BLCM for life, baby.
Let it ride and tell the truth, let it ride, my life is proof. Let it ride and tell the truth, let it ride, my life is proof. Let it ride and tell the truth, let it ride, my life is proof. Let it ride and tell the truth, let it ride, my life is proof. My life is proof. My life is proof. My life is proof.
So let me ask you now, when some people, like sometimes when you hear these stories about people that have these sort of like reawakenings or conversions or born again experiences, it can sometimes turn them like very hateful and bitter towards people that are gay, including themselves. And I think it's interesting that like in your case, it didn't turn you like like that. It was like just a positive thing.
Oh,
Why is it? Do you think that like you didn't become homophobic?
Because when God shows up and comes and gets you and hooks you up with the holy hookup, there's really no need for further discussion. When the source comes straight direct to you
Yeah.
and helps you figure out first who you are,
Right.
okay,
Right.
why you are, and telling you that you have a purpose,
Yeah.
and then puts you on a mission and puts you on a road doing that purpose, it's kind of hard not to believe and not to stand up to other people who may think differently. Trust me, I was told I was going to hell so many times.
I was gonna say, like, how do you deal with that when you're in that milieu? Like, how when people, you must encounter that attitude at times. How do you deal with that?
Well, for one, I didn't grow up in the church. My mother lived in Brooklyn. My dad lived in Queens. There was a party on the weekend in Brooklyn and a party on the weekend in Queens. That was our religion.
Yeah.
Party until you can't get enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So, it was personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe ultimately a relationship with anybody's higher power is personal.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was personal for me.
Yeah.
I hadn't been in the church, so I didn't have all of that stuff on me.
Oh, I see. So like you approach it more like in more of a pure sense, like what it was really about, without like all the condemnations and the rules and this.
Not saying I didn't go into those courts, because I had to go in those courts after I got saved to testify.
Right. Right.
And I had to deal with the homophobia.
How did you deal with that?
By remaining true to myself and what God had told me, and standing on that. When you've done all that you can do, just stand. Yeah. And that's what I did. I made sure that I stood up for myself. I didn't let nobody bully me.
Right.
I would go to churches and they'd ask me to come and do what I do, and I would bless, their congregations and things of that nature, and spiritually and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And but if they found out or somebody told them, I don't know how I can walk in a room and nobody not know, but anyway, that's what somebody told me. A good friend of mine.
Well, the shirt's a giveaway there.
Yeah, but I have a very good friend. Actually, she was my first love, and she said, "Please, LaDana, when you walk in the room, everybody know you gay." But anyway, so.
So how did it change your life? Because it must have changed your life quite a bit. Because if you were a celebrity and you were in really like the fast lane in in Charleston, and all of a sudden like a person in the fast lane who decides to give up drugs, that's a big shock.
Oh yeah, because the industry, the big lie was you had to get high before you, or you wouldn't have a good show.
Right, right, and they're probably always there too. So how did your life change?
Well, first of all, I stopped doing drugs and alcohol, 1985.
Yeah.
1985. I've been drug, alcohol.
Oh, so it's been like 30, 40?
It's been 40 years.
40 years. I'm not good at math, but
I've been
congratulations.
Clean,
wow,
clean
that's
for 40 years.
Amazing.
And I just, at that point, when God interacted with me, and after we were done, I went to the commode and I took all the poison I had left and I flushed it down the commode.
So I've seen people do that in films and movies. Now you do that, and when people do that, what I always think of it is like they would instantly go into withdrawal. So what happened to you physically when you did that?
God kept pouring in, spiritually pouring into me.
Yeah.
And showing me all this good stuff and telling me all this good stuff.
So like you kept like you were able to like
process a new life. Process a new vision of life.
Yeah.
I walked outside my apartment door because that's where I got the holy hookup when I left the club. I went home.
Okay.
When I walked out the door, when I walked out the door after God had blessed me, I'm gonna tell you, this is the truth. I felt like I had seen the sky for the first time and the birds for the first time, and I put my hand in the dirt and felt the dirt for the first time, and I said, wow, what have I been missing? Because it was just like that. That's how I know it was a born again experience.
Right,
right. And some people may call it an out of body experience, but it was definitely
whatever it was a real thing.
It was a real thing. And I'm gonna tell you one more thing too.
Yeah.
I didn't know, I didn't own a Bible.
Yeah.
All right. And I didn't know about a Christian bookstore that was in my town, in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And the Holy Spirit said, get in your car, drive to the corner, make a left, make a right. And then I ended up at this store, told me to go in the store and ask for a book called The Book.
Yeah.
Well, At that time, there was, I don't know whether it was the 700 Club or PTL, I don't know who it was.
Right.
But they were promoting a promotional Bible called The Book.
So it was right there.
Yeah, so I went in, I got the book, and then the Holy Spirit said, write
Yeah.
your name in it. And then I wrote my name in it, and the Holy Spirit said, that's to symbolize that your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life.
Wow.
And these are the conversations that
Now,
Spirit
did
had
you
with me.
leave your job right after that?
No, I didn't leave my radio job right after that, but I did tell them I would no longer, I would not play anything that I felt was going to be harmful to the public or to the children or to the neighborhood. And I also started doing positive message music. So I would pull some Earth, Wind, and Fire. I would pull, anything positive that they were doing in hip hop at the time, which is a lot of stuff, and I would, and then the computers came.
Yeah.
And the consultants came.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
without consulting me, they told the owner of the radio station to put me on midnights.
Wow.
But that's before they even knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I made the station #1.
Wow.
In my region, in the Arbitron ratings at the time, national Arbitron ratings at the time. And then they chose to put me at 12 midnight.
Why?
I have no, they did not tell me.
Huh.
The consultants told him, and he did what the consultants told him to do.
And that was it.
And that was it.
So did you leave after that?
I left when God gave me military. In the military, we got orders, to go somewhere. I got orders from God.
Called up.
Yeah, and said to go to Austin, Texas.
Wow. Well, it's a good time of radio. It's a good time to bring Jay-Z into this conversation here. So, Jay-Z. So this is Black Music Month to celebrate Black Music Appreciation, which is kind of like what this station is here. So I think it's really appropriate that you wore a shirt that celebrates the birth of hip hop in the Bronx. So it was in 1972. Do I have that right?
No, it's later. Yeah, it was later.
Well, she was there for, I think it was
78, 79.
Yeah. Well, I would say 79 was the first major hit for hip hop. Of course, rappers.
There was that party in 1972 that, because I actually do a
I think it was actually
unit
73.
73, yes, right. DJ Cool Herc.
Yeah,
Right.
August 11th.
He had a party for his sister. She had to get money for back to school clothes.
Yeah, August 11th, 73.
So Jay-Z, what was the music you listened to growing up, and how did you get into this field?
I listened to some of everything. I come from a very musical family, both sides, so
Jump right in and talk.
I had some of everything, of course, like my uncle and cousin and their best friend were a local hip hop group, so I was exposed to hip hop as a toddler.
Into performing too, which is really cool. Yeah.
And of course, my mom is a singer songwriter, so, and plus, we were in the church too, so
yeah.
I had it from all over. But some of my early memories of music were, my mom always told me that, when I was a toddler, my favorite song was "It's Gonna Take a Miracle" by Denise Williams.
Oh yeah.
And then after that, my cousin, I have to shout out my cousin Pachi and my cousin Tiny, they put me onto Michael Jackson and the Jacksons, so that was it after that. But, as I got older, as a kid, of course, I came from the MTV era.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, of course, at the time, MTV wasn't really playing black artists like that until Michael Jackson came on the scene and the solo artist with his Thriller album. But then after that, they started putting more and more. So they had Yo MTV Raps, and I started watching that with like Heavy D and the Boys and LL Cool J and Eric B and Rakim, things like that. You know what I mean? Right. So from that it was a rap. I was forever hooked, and then I started writing myself. And
so did you want to be a rapper first or a DJ first, or do you remember what you thought about doing?
I was writing first, so
yeah.
I was writing raps. I was writing like little R&B songs, even though I can't sing like I think I can, or like I would even want to.
You do pretty well for yourself. You get booked a lot, so
yeah. That's not for singing though. That's for for rapping.
Well, the rapping, yeah.
But right now we do have to go to commercial break, so
we
let's
do.
go ahead
That's
and get
right.
into that,
Yes,
and then
yes.
we'll pick up this conversation.
So
after.
we're talking to DJ Jay-Z and Reverend LaDana Clark. We're live streaming at twitch.com/Ron Clark-Sign and at 955theheat.com and on Facebook Live. In addition to the broadcast, I'll have the video and podcast of the show online Wednesday at uticaphoenix.net/Media Monday. I'm Ron Clark-Sign, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. More after the break.
Thank you.
This is Ron Clark-Sign, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Next week on the Hot Seat Media Monday, we'll be talking to war correspondent Brendan Maslauskas-Dunn. He'll be just back from the Middle East, and we'll also talk to artist Lorraine Krameyer, who will preview the Munson Sidewalk Art Show. The following week, on Monday, July 14th, we're going to celebrate 100 years of WIBX radio with two journalists who are part of their news staff. Our own John Steeman, who's on the Thursday Hot Seat shows. And we're also going to talk to a longtime WIBX newsman, John Swan. So in 2 weeks from tonight, we'll have the WIBX 100th anniversary. For more information on upcoming episodes of Hot Seat Media Monday, as well as show notes, videos, and podcasts of our past shows, just go to uticaphoenix.net/Media Monday. Associate producer Lily Christopher joins us in the studio now. Lily, you have a report on fireworks, which is the perfect thing for 4th of July week. So take it away.
Fireworks. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Lily.
Fireworks have been around longer than what many would think. Many people in the community anxiously wait for the 4th of July fireworks celebration ahead of the holiday. The background of the creation of fireworks will shock you. Fireworks are so ancient, believe it or not, nobody can prove exactly who created them. Fireworks started in ancient China. The first firework that lit up the sky was created around the 2nd BCE century. The firework was created with bamboo stalks that were set on fire and launched on the ground. After that, the Chinese inventors made paper mache machines where they launched them through paper machine tunnels. Europeans were fascinated by China's creation. Italy was the first country in Europe to follow. After Italy was Germany. Inventor Marco Polo was who adopted fireworks in Europe. Followed right after. In the BC era, fireworks were mainly used for military, religious, and party occasions. So when you watch the fireworks this upcoming 4th of July, don't just look at the beauty or think of the song Katy Perry wrote, even though it's catchy. Think about the history and think about you see these beautiful lights in the sky, all because of the brilliant Chinese inventors who invented these creations years and years ago.
How amazing. Like, who would have thought to discover that in the first place? Incredible.
Exactly.
Marco Polo, too. Like, who would have thought the connection?
Exactly. And even BCE, like 2 BCE. I feel like I would have thought like 1800s. I never would have thought
I would have thought that, too. So now, if you want to go see the fireworks on Fridays, July 4th, around here, Utica, Rome, Mohawk Valley, where can people go?
People could go to the Utica Center of Development to watch a 4th of July parade at 10, and then Proctor Park begins their celebration kickoff at 5 p.m. with fireworks to follow at 9:30. In Clinton, located on the Village Green, there will be music from 7 to 9, and fireworks follow right after at 9:30.
Oh, that sounds nice, because they talked about they had to move them from the school because of construction and stuff. So it'd be nice with music on the Village Green and everything. So 2 great places to go see fireworks around here on Friday. Today we're celebrating Black Music Month at 95.5 FM The Heat, Hot Seat Media Monday. Our guests are Reverend LaDana Clark and our own DJ Jay-Z. Lily Christopher is here. So Lily, you have a question, I think, for Jay-Z about Black Music Month.
Yes. Jay-Z, what would you say has been the easiest and hardest part in your career as being a Black musician? What have you faced discrimination due to your race?
Personally, I think the easiest part of Black music in my career was just making it. Yeah, I think the easiest part, in my career was just making music, because you know, like I said, coming from a musical family, you know, it's just like embedded in me. So, you know, having that creative, you know, part in my DNA, I think that's the easiest part of, you know, my career, you know, making black music is just, you know, doing it. Say the hardest part is just, I would say, just being in this area.
What do you mean by that? Like opportunities or?
Yeah, because, you know, not a lot of people really make it to the quote unquote big time from here, you know, for music purposes. So I think that would probably be like the hardest thing. But, you know, that is, of course, if that's what your goal is, if that's what you're trying to do. Like, there's people like me, myself, I make music because I love it. You know?
Right. I mean, I think we have to define what success is to us, because I mean, I think of you as someone who's a successful performer. You do shows, you do New Year's Eve, you do the show here, and I think like, I think we all have to like be happy with what we got. So Lily and LaDana, you're sharing a mic there. So just like share your mic, and if you want to jump in the conversation here, and you know, I think it's like, don't you feel that, Jay-Z? Like, you know, we have to be like, I think it's like, we set ourselves up for being unhappy when we think, I'm not going to be happy till I have this many followers or this much regional, you know.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like I said, I'm not known like all over the world.
Right.
You know, maybe
but
some,
you're known by
some
your
parts,
area,
but
and that's
you
a
know,
great thing.
I'm known in my community.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, you know, like the biggest things for me. Like, I've done so many things, you know, around here. Like, you know, like you said, I performed at New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Downtown celebration. I'm performing at 11 Amp in August.
Yep. And your plays, you've done plays
I've
too.
done plays.
I mean, that too.
You know, of course, you know, performed at many community events. They were Juneteenth and you know, Black History Month, things like that. So I would say I've had a successful career. Like,
I would too.
I'm actually working on an album right now, like a project, and one of the songs actually talks about that. Like, if I never make it to the big time, I've already had the time of my life, because I've done so many things that I wouldn't even have thought imaginable.
Yep.
You know, so
I like that attitude.
I love it.
That's actually how I feel too. You know, it's like, I'm not sure if I'm ever going to go further or be national NPR or whatever, but I'm happy with this. I'm having a great time. It's like, you know, if you're known, or if you have fame in your community, that's where you live, so that's great, you know. So I think we should be happy with. How do you feel, LaDana? Like, you've gone from like really big success in a big market to like, you know, pursuing success with different priorities. So I mean, how do you define success for you?
I define success first by doing my best, okay, and also reaching who I can. You know, for me, I'm not really looking for fame or fortune. I could care less. You know, I'm trying to figure out how can my music or how can my ministry help people.
Right.
And that's a whole nother mindset. You know, when you're walking from a mindset of capitalism and greed, okay, you know, you worry about those things. But when you're not, you don't. You know, I'm not for, you know, I have a philosophy, if you will, and it's called, I'm not for rent, I'm not for free, I'm not for sale, and I can't be bought. Okay?
I like that.
And that's why, you know, again, I had to walk away from the industry.
Yeah.
So, and if we all take a look at what having a lot of people know your name does, your privacy, you know, legal investigations, they just come from nowhere all of a sudden when you're all over everybody's social media, and you know, and you got all this money around you and stuff. I don't know if I don't know if I would want that life anyway.
Yeah.
But if I'm known because like Dr. King, I tried to love somebody, and that causes me to a lot of people to know my name, then I'll be happy to receive it that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I definitely, you know, concur with that, because, you know, just in my own personal experiences, like, so many people have come up to me, you know, with like tears in their eyes, you know, saying like, you know, they heard this one song I did, or, you know, they see me perform at, you know, in place, and felt so inspired, or, you know, the songs that I do, like, relate to them so much, like, you know, you're talking about my life, you know what I mean, things like that. So definitely the impact that you can have on people is so major.
Yeah.
So that's why I know for me, I'm very careful to monitor, you know, what I put out there.
Exactly, and on that note, I want to say music is a universal language.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you can't get it across in a board meeting, or, you know, in a lecture or preaching or whatever case may, you put that thing in a song, okay? Mm-hmm. And it just seems like it just flies.
Like humor, it allows you to say things that you wouldn't be able to say otherwise.
Yeah.
Express yourself.
Right. So I mean, do you feel that, like, so it's kind of like what you're saying is, like, really just focus on the quality of the work and the purpose of the work, and then if you do that, whatever, like, you'll feel the success because it'll be success that you've earned genuinely, and the fame that you get is, like, there is a difference between, like, good fame and bad fame. And I think if you get fame for doing good work, you know, that is a nice kind of fame to have, even if it's like only 100 people or my 2 followers on Twitch. You know, it's like, I think any amount of that you're very lucky to have, and it's really important to, like, take that and be careful with it and treat it well and respect it.
Absolutely.
That means a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Knowing that, you know, your name is good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Your reputation is good. That nobody can, truthfully, I'll put it like that. Nobody can truthfully say, oh, well, this person is like this, or this person did this, or anything like that, because you know you're not that guy.
Yes,
or you're not that lady.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
Having
when
that
people
good
do
name,
like kind of badmouth you, because they kind of do if you have any kind of level.
That's where the hateration comes in.
That's where the hateration.
You know what I mean?
I want to ask you, LaDana, can you pass the mic for a minute, Lily? I just want to ask LaDana for a second. Like, how, you know, that is like the downside of any amount of, like, being in the media, public figure kind of thing. How do both of you, like, deal with that? Like, there is a certain amount of hate that we all get just because we exist and because we're, like, doing stuff, you know, in Utica, you know. So, like, how do you deal with that? The negativity. My thing is to just block it, because I used to try to talk to people that were, like, the opposite, you know, perspective, but I found out that really talking to them just encouraged them to, like, to stalk me. So I just blocked.
I'm not gonna talk to people online.
Yeah.
In a deep conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Once I know where you are and you've made that clear, there's no more talking for me to do. But if we're in person, like during Black Lives Matter summer, I was at a rally and with some other veterans, and God said, when you finish speaking, you need to go right there. He pointed at the biker veterans. I'm like, really, God? That's where you want me to go? and God said, and when you walk through them, say Desert Storm, because I was in during Desert Storm. So and that's what I did.
For your service.
Thank you, and that's what I did. And they you know, started to, like, want to talk to me.
Yeah.
That made them want to talk to me.
Yeah.
And so we talked, and we wound up having all these little pockets of conversations, and it just spread like peanut butter and jelly.
It's like a miracle how that can spread, that positive.
Yeah, but it was all positive at that point.
How about you, Jay-Z? How do you have to turn things around at times, like when people are coming at you with, like, negativity?
I have to say, like, honestly, I've never really dealt with that much of hate. Like, it's been, like, for the most part, love. You know what I mean? Like, you know, people are, you know, loving what I do. You know what I mean? Or, you know, just the fact that I'm out here doing something positive.
Yeah, the truth is, like, I think probably for all of us, it is like 99% people love what we do. It's just hard. Like, you get that one person, like, on Facebook, or, you know, used to be used to be X, I guess they could call it now, with all the hate. But you know, we have to focus on the good. So let's talk about before we wrap.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There has been, you know, a time or two here or there where, you know, something negative might have, you know, come out, but I just choose not to address it.
You focus on
you know what I mean?
Good. Right.
Like, I just keep it moving because people are going to talk regardless.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, no matter what you do.
Mhm.
So.
That's what that's what I was gonna say too. You know, we have a right to speak, but
Yeah.
there's consequences for what we say. You know, whether it's negative or positive, and you just have to be willing to stand 10 toes down on what you believe and what you think and who you are and that kind of thing, and don't let anybody sway you from doing that. But at the same time, the people who are on the other side, they have the right to do that too.
Yeah.
So I also, and even in that moment I talked about earlier during Black Lives Matter Summit, which I ran into some, quite a bit of stuff, I let people talk, and I listen to them, and I let them know that I'm listening to them. And I think that also helps too, when they actually feel like you're actually listening to them. Might not change them, but
Someone is always watching, whether you know it or not, and someone's always ready to, get that camera out and wait for you to react. You know what I mean? Or
that's true too.
or tell the story of, you should have been there. This person did this. People are always watching.
Yeah.
So
I tell people in this age that we're in now, everybody needs to live their life as if they're being recorded.
They absolutely do.
Whether it's audio or video, okay?
Right.
Live your life like you're being recorded. If you don't want it said somewhere else, don't say it. If you don't want it seen anywhere else, don't do it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if you're going to be strong in your spots, be strong in your spot and take whatever comes with that. But don't let nobody, put out your light. Let your light shine, and don't let, we cannot continue to let darkness outshine the light. That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead.
Well, those are great closing thoughts. Is there anything to wrap up? Yeah, I know you're showing.
No, I was just going to say that, just looking at the bigger picture. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
The bigger picture.
Yeah, and you also have a lot of wisdom on your show too. You'll be up next. Our guests today were DJ J-Eazy and Reverend LaDana Clark. We celebrated black music. We celebrate it every day here on 95.5 FM The Heat. We're celebrating it here today on Hot Seat Media Monday. We'll have the video and podcast of the show online Wednesday at unicaphoenix.net/Media Monday, along with a recording of the stream at twitch.com/Ron Klopfenstein. I think we were recording the stream, right? I'm not really sure. Delay, are we recording the stream?
Yes,
well, we're going to have
right
something
now.
up there.
Right
Our
now.
sound engineer is Jonathan Burks. He is DJ J-Eazy. He's right there. He's up next with the Easy Ride Home. Jim Hill records the show for YouTube and podcasts. Lily Christopher is our associate producer. Nabil Khan is our entertainment correspondent. And I'm Ron Klopfenstein. I'll be back next week with another Hot Seat Media Monday.
All right.
Hey, what's up?